What if you had complete 100% permission to take divine care of yourself? What would the impact be on your kids? What would the impact be on your children if you truly stepped into radical self-care? Would you be a worse mom or would you be a better mom? I'm Amy Ahlers, the Wake Up Call coach, best-selling author of Reform Your Inner Mean Girl and Big Fat Lies Women Tell Themselves, and the founder of Mama Truth Circle. I've been a life coach for 16 years, and I've got to tell you that nothing has kicked my ass more than becoming a mom. Oh my goodness. I taught workshops and, seminars and spoke and did all sorts of coaching around the value of self-care. And I had an incredible self-care system. And then just over 9 years ago, all hell broke loose because I became a mom. I remember so vividly standing in the bedroom just upstairs from my office here with a little tiny newborn baby in one of those sling things, wailing and wailing and wailing. And I'm there like bouncing and shushing. And there's cabbage leaves in my bra because I'm engorged to the max. And I have stitches where the sun don't shine. And then my dog has the nerve to come in and look at me like, hello, could you please take me for a walk? Because of course he hadn't been walked in like 2 days. And I just was like, what am I going to do? And then the anxiety and the fear and everything that came with becoming a mom, like for all of the love that I felt for this little being and this little soul, came also the flip side of that, all of this fear and all of this anxiety. And I had never felt that before in my life. And so suddenly, not only did I birth with my baby a beautiful baby girl, but I also birthed all of these inner mean girls, as I like to call them, those inner critics. And I was beating myself up all the time. And I realized, oh my gosh, I have to completely redo my self-care system. And I have got to really figure out how I'm going to take care of myself so that I can be the kind of mom that I was born to be, so that I can nurture within myself all of those qualities that I admire in all the moms that I love and adore. And so I went to work and I began to really create a new self-care system and something that I could fit into my life as a busy working mom. And I will be honest and transparent with you, it's always changing. It morphs and it changes. And with each new stage, my oldest is now 9 years old in 4th grade, and I have a 2.5-year-old Evie Rose. And it's like, oh my gosh, with each new phase of their development, it pulls on a different part of me. And then I have to restructure my self-care system again. But what I know to the core of my being is that self-care makes you a better mom. When you are okay and when you are resourced, when you have capacity, you can do all the things that I know you want to do as a mom and be, not get triggered in the moment with your kids, but instead be resourced enough to take a few deep breaths before responding when your child looks at you and says, but I don't like chicken, and you're cooking chicken for dinner. Been there, right? So that in those moments, I really want you to think about this for a moment. The last time that you lost it with your kids or with your child, were you taking really divine care of yourself? How is your self-care? How at capacity and stretched to the max were you in that moment? I can answer the question for you. I bet that you were pretty stretched and totally at capacity, over bandwidth. Your cup was bone dry. It was not runneth over. It was not filled to the brim, right? And so that's what we need to do as moms. I feel like there's so many big fat lies out there that say that self-care is selfish, that say that putting yourself first is selfish. I am here to say it is not selfish. It is sacred. And when you do that, that allows you to become the mom you were born to be. So you might be wondering, okay, Amy, I'm with you on that, but what do I even mean by self-care? What do I mean by self-care is holy, that it's a sacred act? And what does that really look like? Like in daily life, how the heck do we take care of ourselves? And again, like I had to trash like my self-care system before I became a mom. I mean, I like checked off everything on my to-do list. I was pretty on top of it before I became a mom. And then it was like, oh my gosh, I was like, how am I going to be with basically a gazillion things on my to-do list that are never going to be done? How can I be with that, right? Life exists with us having to deal with not getting everything done when we're a busy working mom, right? So I want to give you a tool right here and right now. Now, this is something that I outline in my Sacred Self-Care ebook that I just released, sacredselfcarebook.com. In case you haven't downloaded, there's a link right below here. I really want to encourage you to download that because I outline an entire 7-step process. And I want to get into that with you today because I know some of you that are watching this video have taken that self-care ebook, and I know chances are it might be sitting on your desktop and you haven't read it yet. So let me walk you through this because this is really cool. I realized this a little while ago that I was like, I really want to hook in. Like, what's the secret sauce here to help you create a sacred self-care system that really lights you up and that is very doable as a mom? So here's the way into this. I want you to think of a peak experience in your life, a moment in time in your life where you just felt like, oh, like the angels are singing. I am so deeply fulfilled on every level. Just one of those moments. It might be the birth of your child. Both of my births, both with Evie and Annabella, were peak experiences for me. It might be when you finished that marathon and ran across that finish line. Oh my gosh, what a peak experience that might have been for you. Maybe it's when you met the love of your life and you looked into his or her eyes for the first time and went, oh, I'm home. Maybe that was a peak experience for you. So think of one right now. Okay, do you have one? You can pause the video if you need to think about it. Just the first one that came to mind. It's okay. You can believe it. A lot of us have a lot of different peak experiences. Okay, so you ready? Okay, here's the question for you. You may want to write this down. What made that experience peak for you? What made that experience peak for you? So, for example, for me, one of the peak experiences that I have is the birth of my daughter, Evie Rose. I really wanted to do things as naturally as possible. That was the right path for me as a mom. And that did not happen at all with my first. Annabella was over 2 weeks overdue, and I ended up having all sorts of interventions and so on and so forth. So I figured with the second one, I was going to try it, and I was open, and I wasn't attached, but I was going to try it, and I was able to actually do a non-medicated birth, as some people like to say, although, boy, our bodies flood our systems with all sorts of things, don't they? But anyway, you get my point. So this was totally a peak experience for me. Now, what made it peak for me? When I look at it, and this is really from the values architecture, like thinking about what you really value. And I don't mean like your values and morals. I mean, what is it that you value that makes you come alive, that has you feel fulfilled? So when I look at the birth of Evie Rose, I think about challenge and like incredible, like digging in the dirt and getting in there. Like it was a really like challenging situation, and I did it, and that felt so. I have a value for challenge. I have a value for triumph, feeling that sensation of like, I did it. I did it. I did it. I have a value for connection and community and tribe. Huge value for me. I had an incredible team. My husband was there. My 2 sisters were there. I had an incredible doula who's a dear friend there. Like it was an amazing experience. And every single doctor and nurse that walked into that room was awesome. And they were like, you're doing this. You're incredible. So yeah, huge value for me, community and tribe and connection. So what are some of those values for you? Now, I have to say, I also have a huge value for fun and play. And I have to tell you, we rocked out during that birth. Like we had some great tunes going on. We were cracking jokes in between contractions. I was like, please, let's honor my fun and value and play value so that I can feel even better about this experience. And we definitely did that. So what are some of those values for you? So go ahead and write them down on a piece of paper. You can pause the video if you want to. Okay, good. So now I want you to choose one of the values on your list right now, and I want you to rate on a scale of 1 to 10 how much you're honoring and living that value these days in your life. So not in just this exact moment, but literally like these days in your life. How well are you honoring that for you? So like the fun and the play for me, on a scale of 1 to 10, how well am I honoring that these days? I would say in general, I'm at about a 6. I'd add about a 6 for that. So go ahead and rate that. I want you to make a note. So one of the values, just circle one of them and then rate it on a scale of 1 to 10. And even after this video, you can go back and actually rate every single one of your values that you came up with. Okay? All right. Awesome. Now, here's the trick. And this is where the self-care system comes into play. So life changes. The way that I used to honor fun and play before I became a mom was very different. It might have involved going out on Friday and Saturday nights, and my husband's a musician, so I'd go out and I'd see him play in the band and have some cocktails with my friends and stay, like that. I was totally like dance and all of that. Guess what? When I became a mom, even though my husband was still going out and playing music, I don't really go out that often anymore in that way, right? That was like a normal weekend for me before I became a mom. After mom, I had to figure out a way to really value fun and play so that I didn't go flippin' crazy, right? So this is why I love, those of you who know me, know I love a good dance party over dirty dishes every day of the week, baby. I will do a dance party in my kitchen with a pile of dirty dishes. I know anyone who knows me is nodding their head. It is true. With my girls, we turn on a song and we just groove it out. And it is an instant way for me to connect into that fun and play value. So can you see how these values are the thing that doesn't change, but how you honor them does change depending on what's going on in your life, what's true for you in this moment. And so, like I said, your sacred self-care system is a living, breathing thing. It's something that you need to check in. If you are feeling annoyed and frustrated and down in the dumps and like you're last on the list and exhausted and overwhelmed, go back to your values, rate them, and see how you can just bring it 2 points higher. So for me, how could I bring fun and play from a 6 to an 8? Ooh, what would an 8 look like? So it might be that we go on a gratitude walk and really have fun with that. Like last night we went out and looked at all the Halloween decorations that were in the neighborhood. So you just never know what way you can really honor it, but you can ask that and make it super duper simple. This does not have to be a big thing. Like for those of you, if you have a huge adventure value, I do as well, and maybe you used to do that adventure by going mountain climbing every weekend, and that's just not in the cards for you being a mom right now. Maybe you used to train for marathons and it's like, okay, you really don't want to have to get up at 3 a.m. to train for the marathon. But that value for adventure or that value for physical challenge and really feeling your body, you can still honor that value just in a different way. Are you getting this? This to me can feel revolutionary. It's like a revelation on so many ways of like, oh, that's the thing that makes me feel fantastic. And now I can just look at what are those little practices that I can do, those inspired action steps so that I can honor that value. And this is how you create your sacred self-care system. So I hope that you received that. Now, here's what I want you to do next. I would love to have you comment below and let me know the one value that you chose and one inspired action step you will take to honor that value. Let me know below, and then feel free to share this video. I would love it, in fact, if you share this video with your other mom friends. You can hit any of the share buttons here on this page, share it with them, and let's create a self-care revolution amongst moms so that we can all approach it as sacred and holy and get that self-care will make us a better mom. Without a doubt, I know it in my heart and my soul. So now that we know how to take care of ourselves, I'm going to talk about the number one thing. I'm going to do another video. I'm going to do a little series here. I'm going to do another video, and on the next video, I want to go into how to create the space and time for you to then implement and do these inspired actions around your self-care. Because I know, and you know, that as moms, the number one complaint that I hear is I just don't have any time. Like I just don't have any time. So I'm going to get into that on the next video. So stay tuned. It's going to come out in a couple days. I can't wait to share it with you. And with that, it's Amy Ahlers, the Wake Up Call Coach and founder of the Mama Truth Circle, signing off and reminding you to value those values, honor those values, and make your self-care a top priority, because your kids, mama, your kids need you to be okay. And not only to be okay, they need you to be thriving. Okay. Bye-bye.